Trump has a first step of success in his great big budget bill. The biggest part of his agenda, this is how you make the Trump legacy last longer than his administration. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. This is where the happy patriots are. This is Trump's budget. This is the one that we have to make go through. We're over at the Hill. This is going to be two articles, one from yesterday, one from today. So I just had to do the one from yesterday to kind of set the room for today. Okay, so this is the bad news one, and the next one will be the good news one. House Republicans bash the Senate's Trump agenda blueprint, saying this is offensive. Now, first of all, it must be said that the Hill is anti-Trump. Okay, the Senate GOP budget plan, designed to usher President Trump's sweeping domestic priorities into law, is getting an ice-cold reception from Republicans in the House. And to me, it all depends on which Republicans are giving the ice-cold reception. I want to know names. Where conservatives are balking at the low levels of mandated spending cuts, that's always the Rand Paul people, and the heightened deficits that could result. So they're going, where's the spending cuts? And Trump was never big on spending cuts. But after Trump's endorsement of the plan, House Republicans face enormous pressure to give the president a victory on his top campaign promises, including an extension of the tax cuts, new limits on immigration, and a boost in domestic energy production. Now, these three are most important, guys. This won't stick past his agenda if he leaves office. His campaign promises, we want those tax cuts permanent. You need limits on immigration being permanent, and a boost in domestic energy production. Right now, those would all be presidential orders, and they're not going to be signed into law. That's why this has to go to law at some point. That pressure will likely grow in the face of the fallout from Trump's new tariffs, which sent markets plummeting on Thursday and threatened a global recession. I don't believe that's true, but it's entirely possible. Because that's the big thing. The big unknown is, as Trump says, everyone's been wrong about the economy. Everyone on the right, too, and the left have been wrong about the economy. And it is a huge risk to launch a bunch of tariffs. Everyone's right about that. But Trump just goes, look, give me a little time. Let's see what happens. I believe in his plan. I believe it's going to work. The budget debate is just the latest challenge for Speaker Mike Johnson and his leadership team, who are already struggling to resolve an internal battle over proxy voting for new parents, one that shut down floor activity indefinitely and will soon confront the dilemma of how to approach the Senate budget blueprint in the face of the uproar within their House GOP conference. I saw Tim Burchett supporting this thing. I don't support it. Marjorie Taylor Greene also does not support it, against Rep. Paula Luna, who supports it. I think they should have to show up to vote. I don't think you should be able to vote from home. And so they use an excuse of, well, what if you're pregnant? Now we're going to go to today's article, because this is really the meat of the show, because it has a victory for Trump. Senate Dems blast GOP. So the last article said the Republicans in the Senate blasted the GOP. This time it's the Senate Dems, so that's good news at least. Senate Dems blast GOP over late night passage of blueprint to protect the Trump agenda. This happened just last night. Senate Democrats on Saturday blasted their GOP colleagues after the upper chamber advanced a budget blueprint overnight seeking to protect President Trump's legislative agenda. So this just happened last night, overnight. The resolution passed in the upper chamber early Saturday morning by a 51-48 vote, so we have 3 to spare, after the upper chamber held an hours-long vote-a-rama on a series of amendments. The blueprint outlines plans to beef up border security. That's one of Trump's big agendas, to pay for it. Extend Trump's 2017 tax cuts. That's the second one. And expand oil and gas drilling and increase defense spending. So those are all good things, guys, but that does not cut that is not going to cut spending. And that's where some of your more fiscal freedom fighter conservatives are going to lose them. Democrats look to social media to rail against the resolution. So this is the Democrats on X, where all news happens. Quote, this is Senator Ron Fetterman, just left the Senate floor after voting a hard no on the one big beautiful bill. Fetterman's PA wrote on X, referring to the president's portrayal of the blueprint. Quote, I will never support a bill that uses Medicare, Medicaid, or SNAP cuts to pay for tax cuts for billionaires. Now, he's just repeating Democrat lie talking points. Trump is not, they may cut Medicare and Medicaid, Trump might, but it's only the waste, fraud, and abuse. So none of you, nobody who's legit citizens that are getting Medicare and Medicaid benefits, those are all the same. So what looks like Trump's plan is to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare and Medicaid and use it to fund these tax cuts. Fetterman, who notably backed the Republicans' continuing resolution to prevent a government shutdown earlier this year, added, now these Republicans, we have until September before another shutdown happens. Because remember, they just did a quick continuing resolution to keep the government funded through September. So we have a little bit of time. But Mike Johnson, they got to get this stuff signed into law. Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat of Maryland, echoed the sentiment, calling the resolution a terrible budget plan. Okay, Republicans just rammed their terrible budget plan through the Senate, said Chris Van Hollen on X. Okay, whatever. It's never been more clear. They are hell-bent on passing a giant tax giveaway for billionaires like Elon Musk at the expense of everybody else. He continued, we won't stop fighting. And so really, I believe that's a lie. I don't believe Elon Musk is going to get the big money break, or if he does, that's not why they did it. And Democrats are going, this is the Bernie Sanders line, this is the AOC line. That Trump is only doing this to help his billionaire buddies, which I disagree with. I don't know. Is funding the military helping his billionaire buddies? Is stopping illegals at the border and funding ICE agents helping it? Is cutting taxes on American businesses helping his billionaires? Is that why he did it, to make them more rich or to stabilize, prosper, and secure their business and therefore the jobs those businesses create? See? You can have the same outcome with a different intent or an agenda. So it's kind of wrong to say Trump is just trying to benefit the CEOs. Yes, you'll also benefit the CEO of Amazon or Walmart or Target stores. I mean, if you benefit the business, you benefit the CEO. Why are Democrats against the employers of people is another way of putting it. See? We tried to make the changes to protect Medicaid, Medicare, food assistance. I don't believe in food assistance. And even prevent higher costs for you. Republicans blocked them, as if the Republicans want you to have higher costs. That's what I don't agree with. She wrote early Saturday on X, they've never had their priorities clear. Billionaires win, families lose. Okay. I think that's a really good state. It's not true, I mean, but it's a good example of what I'm talking about. Billionaires win, families lose. In other words, employers win. Businesses bringing jobs back home win. And then they say families lose. When they say families lose, they're talking about welfare families lose. People who get freebies, free food, and that might be all of us in a tough time, okay? But when they say families lose, they don't mean the working families that are out working for the employer that provides the job. They mean the welfare family that needs the free food. And where it's a lie is, I believe if you cut the fraud out of Medicaid and Medicare, you're helping those families because you're helping better secure those entitlements. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat, went a step further, pegging the passage as a bended knee to Trump. This is just them trying to add insult to these guys, saying like, you're just bowing to Trump and you're doing it out of fear. Donald Trump has betrayed the American people, Schumer says. And in voting for this budget bill, Senate Republicans sided with billionaires against the middle class in total obeisance to Donald Trump, Schumer wrote online. That's completely just stupid. The Democrat leader, Schumer, pointed to the president's latest tariff announcement and experts' warnings at a potential recession in its wake in an argument against Trump's policies. So guys, I could go on. You know what? Let's get to some of the positive guys on this, okay? Let's get to a few positive quotes. Let's get to some of the, there's Adam Schiff. Let's get to the pushback. Despite the pushback, Republicans in the upper chamber in the upper chamber have largely taken a victory lap. Okay. Now here's Senator Lindsey Graham, which the Hill knows none of us like him. So that's why they quote him first, going, oh, here's a Republican supporting it. Here's Lindsey Graham. Quote, tonight, the Senate took one small step toward reconciliation and one giant leap toward making the tax cuts permanent, securing the border, providing much needed help for the military, and finally, cutting wasteful Washington spending, Lindsey Graham wrote in a post online. Well done. Bill Cassidy, Republican of Louisiana, also heralded the resolution's passage, showing his support for Trump's priorities. Quote, President Trump wants to balance the budget and decrease our debt, Cassidy said in his statement, and I agree. Still, the blueprint needs to be adopted by the House. That's the next step before negotiations can begin on a larger bill. If both chambers agree in a joint budget resolution, it will unlock the reconciliation progress and give Republicans the ability to circumvent a potential Democrat filibuster. Thus far, the House has not shown support. So we've got some work to do. Trump's got some muscle to work to do. And Mike Johnson has his job cut out for him, but this was never going to be easy, guys. Our margins are too narrow. So this is going to be a tough slog. However, we support Trump, we support his budget, and this is the best news so far. It has checked the first box, and now on to the rest of the Senate, and I'll keep you guys posted on this. I'm learning this convoluted, complicated stuff as we go, but this is the most significant and the biggest part of the Trump agenda going forward and being permanent. I'm Doug in exile. I'd love to have you subscribe and ring that notification. Thank you.